Hi, this is MarkLittle. I do these videos quite often describing the methodology that I use as a veteran financial advisor that's been delivering truly comprehensive financial services to affluent, ideal clients for 40 years. I've been doing this a long time. The question comes up, why do I continue doing what I do? It's a good question. We had a discussion internally about this, and there's something that really keeps me motivated, keeps me moving forward that I've never shared publicly. This is the first time I've mentioned it to anybody outside of our firm. I thought I'd share it with you just to see if it resonates with anyone, to see if any professional financial advisors have interest in this and they want to jump on board. Let me back up, tell you a little bit about my story. So I started in the industry, the financial services industry, in April of 1981. So I've been doing this quite some time. The way I look at it is I just have been working my way up the ladder of success. I worked for a Wall Street based firm. I was more involved with just investment sales, investment services, selling investment products and services to affluent clients. Frankly, back in the 80s, that was the only model I was familiar with, a stockbroker model. But then as the industry matured, as we started aligning a little bit more closely with what clients actually want out of these relationships with a financial advisor, my business started morphing and improving. We evolved away from investment product sales, stocks and bonds and mutual funds, things like that, into delivering what I have come to trademark and call truly comprehensive financial services. The only reason that matters is it occurred to me, and this was 25 years ago, that I don't think our industry even has a definition for comprehensive financial services, yet approximately a third of financial advisors hold themselves out to the public as delivering this thing we call comprehensive financial services. So it bothered me. All I did was I went out, I defined it. I sat down with lots of affluent clients. I purchased research. I did my own research. I spent 2 years doing a really deep dive, asking the question, if we rewrote the industry, if I were to completely upend my business model, redesign it, but the way clients prefer the relationship to be, what would that look like? And so I implemented that. I implemented that model. I perfected it for 2 years, and that was the year 2000 through October 28th of 2002. So in 34 months, I perfected this model, and we grew dramatically. I would say almost explosively. We increased our revenue from $340,000 per year net to $1.6 million in 34 months. And we continued growing from there. Long story short, I sold that business in 2005, had a community of 100 ideal clients. I was consistently exceeding their expectations. When I sold the business, two things happened. First of all, my business coach, a guy named Bill Backrack, told me at the time, he said, other advisors would like to know what you've done here. What is it that you're doing that actually consistently exceeds these clients' expectations as measured by client referrals? So he pushed me out in front of groups of financial advisors, like training this and teaching this and talking about what I had accomplished, and it took on. So I've been advising a small community of financial advisors, very high-end financial advisors, just dialing in what they're already good at, which is delivering some form of high-end financial services, but then also creating sort of a business within a business to a few select clients, offering what I call truly comprehensive financial services and literally knocking their socks off, and of course, charging commensurate fees for that. But that's what I was doing. The question is, after I sold the business, why? Why do I continue teaching this? For one thing, I'm still a financial advisor to this day, the way I view it. But after I sold my business, I moved on to mergers and acquisitions. So I moved away from serving a retail client community, but I started interacting with financial advisors who are at the end of their career, considering retiring or leaving the industry because they've been in the business for decades, and started doing mergers and acquisitions, joint ventures with these retiring financial advisors. Mainly, I was curious to see if my methodology was scalable in other businesses than mine. And it was. It scaled beautifully. My system at the end of the day is just a massive series of checklists. It's a checklist-driven system so that nothing falls through the cracks and the clients are always on track to their goals. That's what they like. But back to the question, after I've sold my business for millions of dollars and now I'm on to other things, I'm doing mergers and acquisitions, why would I still do these videos? Why am I still so passionate about sharing this methodology with other financial advisors? Here's what keeps me in this. See if this resonates with you. See if you want to jump on board this train. I had a theory, and this goes back decades, okay? And it was something my pastor said in my church one Sunday, and it had to do with people are praying out of desperation all over the world. I had no doubt that was true. I just hadn't thought about it. And the point of the pastor was making is give bigger donation for the next few weeks or months because they were on the campaign to raise money for, I forget, it was food bank, I think. But whatever it was, I got to thinking, I have a theory. And it's not that it's the obligation of churches and nonprofits necessarily to jump in and answer prayers. It's all of our responsibilities that we should all be out there helping people that are in desperate need of help. So I came up with this theory. I talked about it with my staff. This is decades ago. I said, I will bet you that our clients, all of whom are highly affluent, successful families or individuals, my theory was that if I could convince them that they have enough, that they have actually more than enough, they have more than enough, including a big margin of safety, to accomplish everything that they had shared with me that they wanted to accomplish before they die. My theory was that if I could get someone highly affluent to say out loud, okay, Mark, you got me. You've persuaded me. I have enough. I have enough for what I want out of life. My theory was that for every client that I could get into that mental space, that they agree and they continually are confident that they have enough with the margin of safety, that what would happen is they would become more generous. I didn't have to ask them to be more generous. As a matter of fact, I never have done that. I don't have to point them in the direction of some worthy charity or some cause that I think's important. I don't try to steer them in any way, shape, or form. My theory was that if people get more secure about their own financial situation, that what would end up happening is they would loosen the purse strings. They would find some way to make a difference in other people's lives. Or in my way of thinking, answer prayers. And it happened. We have data on this, at least with my little firm, that of the clients that I had, the subset that I was able to actually get to the point, because some people will never think they have enough. And for a variety of reasons. Some people are afraid. They live in fear about their finances. Just because you're wealthy today, if you own a business or something, theoretically, it could be gone tomorrow. Okay, so fear on the one hand. On the other hand, some people are just driven. They look at life like there's never enough. So those are the outliers. I'm talking about straight down the middle. My theory was that for the average person, if you can get them more comfortable that they have enough with a margin of safety, they'll loosen their purse strings. Now, not necessarily to the church, necessarily, not to a charity necessarily. I tracked it if someone just gave to someone who's in need. Like maybe it's their own children or grandchildren. Maybe they thought they couldn't afford private or parochial school, but after they get confident about their own financial affairs, now they're willing to make the investment. It could be just helping specific causes. In our firm, I've seen everything from people building wings on hospitals after they're more confident in their own financial security to people just giving more to their own grandchildren to be able to do things and have opportunities in their lives that they otherwise wouldn't have. So just for my little firm with 100 ideal clients, which I stopped accepting new clients after I got to 100. So I tracked the increase. I did track what their generous giving was before and after. Before, they were giving to church and charity. And we know this as financial advisors because we track their expenditures, their personal expenses and everything. We have visibility to all these sorts of things. I would track the before. Then when I get the client, which generally took somewhere between 8 months and 3 years, we could get them there. Because if you start with the fact that they have enough, so not every client does have enough to achieve all their objectives. But for those who do, it takes some time and patience, and you have to be able to really articulate the reality in an understandable way. It's not important that I believe they have enough with a margin of safety. It's important that they believe it. So I had to really work with them and get them there. And for those who did get there, we saw an increase of approaching $100 million per year across all these clients. So it was like, wow. When I sold my business, I was being encouraged to keep sharing this methodology because from the industry's perspective or from the financial advisory perspective, this is a method that's not easy to pull off. When you have a community of 100 ideal clients, we're talking fussy, successful, highly affluent multimillionaires tend to be very picky and hard to please, which is true. But when you can dial in a methodology to not only meet their expectations, but the goal should always be to exceed their expectations. Because why? 2 reasons. Because if you exceed their expectations, not only will they never leave your firm because it's a retention assurance plan, but if you're exceeding their expectations on a consistent basis, not just the first year or 2 when you get them all financially organized and they're happy. No, year 3, year 4, year 5, you keep hitting the ball out of the park every year and you consistently exceed their expectations, which increases referrals. From an advisor standpoint, my methodology was very popular because what are we talking about here? We're consistently exceeding ideal clients' expectations for the purpose of increasing referrals. That's the only way we've ever measured success in our methodology. But for me personally, it was to track this increased generous giving. So what do you think about my theory? When I laid it out, I told you I had a theory and I explained it in detail. What did you think about that? Did you think, yeah, he's probably right about that? You probably, if you could get them there, the clients, they probably would give some of their money away to good things. Are people basically good? Do people care about others? In some sense, it was just a thought experiment. But in another sense, it was a mission. I think for people that have deep faith, or let's say those of you out there, maybe you're secular and you just live your values and you care about others. How would you like to join this project? I guess my call to action to you on this is, why don't you join me? If you're a financial advisor, or if you're a tax accountant, or if you're an estate planning lawyer, if you're in any form of financial services and you have interest in figuring out how do I measure increased generous giving? How do I pull this off? And whether or not you work with me, I'll be happy to share with you the essential elements of how this has worked and how we've been able to track this. So if you have any interest whatsoever, why don't you just contact us? Let me know. I'll figure out what questions you have. I'll start building curriculum about this. Like I say, this is the part of my thinking I've never shared publicly. So I have no content. I have no training. This is just something I've been doing. And if you think this is something we should be tracking as a community, which I do, I would love to work with you. If you have any interest whatsoever, just contact me. What I would recommend, if you've got my email or look me up on LinkedIn, I'm easy to find, message me there. But if all you can do is get online and go to our website, go to themarkofmastery.com. There's a contact us link and it'll send me an email. Just say I'm interested in generous giving. And for those of you who are people of faith, Judeo-Christian tradition, I would encourage you to go look at the website, Generous Giving. Generous Giving is a nonprofit in the US. It's very inspiring. If what I'm talking about resonates with you, you really should go to that site and go watch the videos that they call stories. It's story after story after story of families and individuals who start giving more. They start generously giving. In this case, because of their faith. But if you're secular, you just want to live your values, you want to make a difference in the world, and you think you might be able to do it because people of wealth could help people that are desperate. We call it answering prayers, but you could call it whatever you want. If you like this idea, go watch some of those videos. Watch the impact on the world of people who loosen their purse strings and start benefiting others who are in many cases in desperate need. But whether you contact me or whether you go look at that nonprofit's website, I just wanted to share this with you. Consider this an icebreaker. If I get a reaction to this video and there's a number of people who are interested in this, game on. I'll start creating content. I'll answer your questions. I'll do whatever you want. But my call to action is, if you have any interest in this whatsoever, do something about it. Don't just sit there. I think I've been sitting here thinking about it for 25 years. And my team didn't say this, but I know what I was thinking is there's something a little bit shameful about that. So we're going to fix that right now. So if all you're interested is in consistently exceeding client expectations, that's fine. I'll keep cranking out videos on that. But I wanted to share this deeply personal interest of mine. And I hope it was interesting.